Hi, Oscar.
Hi, Simon. How are you?
Yeah, fine, thank you.
Good to see you again.
The pleasure is mine. So today I'll be replacing Sumaya. She's off, and it's my pleasure actually. So thank you so much already for the 2 sessions. It was really good. We've learned a lot. So in 7 minutes we will be starting. Hi, Matthias.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you. So now you know very well how it's working.
Yes.
Even better than me, because I haven't been running this the last times. So today I had some troubles now to be connected here. It was like, not today, please, my laptop.
Well,
everything is okay now.
No problem with that. So we understand the type of challenges that brings this type of live sessions, and it's hard for everyone. So no problem.
Totally. So today, the session will be more specific on the SSOs, the Startup Support Organizations.
Yes,
because the other sessions were more about the whole ecosystem building and the big picture on the ecosystems.
Yeah.
And today we'll be getting more specific on the on matter of the Startup Support Organization, who are our most important audience and the target for this program. So hopefully they will be there. We've got great feedbacks actually on the program, so they're enjoying it. And actually we're putting now kind of routine, so they're looking forward to the session, which is great. So it's not in matter of numbers. It's not about thousands of attendees or audience, but it's more about quality and the right target. So which is good.
Perfect. Yeah, and we have prepared like a session thinking about the supporting organizations. So trying to share as many of tips as possible and learnings based on our global work. So let's see how it goes.
Yeah. So where are you now, Oscar? In which country?
I'm in south of Spain.
Oh, so because it's sunny. So I said,
it's really sunny, and actually this week is a bit strange because temperature is around. Yesterday it was around 20 degrees.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Thing, yeah. Actually, the whole November here in Tunisia was really hot. Like people were going to the beach, and it was really summery weather. Now it's starting to be more winter-like. We had some rain, etc., but still the temperature is quite high regarding the period. So
yeah, it's not the same there in Helsinki, right, Matthias?
No. It's totally opposite. Totally opposite. Yeah, it's dark and it's cold, wet. But that's a part of living in here. So
yeah, no, please enjoy it. It's good. It's good to be. It's reassuring to see that there is winter in some countries.
Yeah. Sure.
But if you need some sun, hopefully the things will get better. Hopefully we will see you here in Tunisia sometime soon for new collaboration or new time together. We're very, me personally, because we have some current programs that we are already launching, or we're about to launch. And I'm looking forward to what we can do next, actually, to support the right way the ecosystem in its evolution, and to tackle the right problem. So hopefully we can work together on further collaborations.
Yeah.
Okay, it's 57. Let me check.
And actually, once we finalize this last session, I will also come back to you to share some latest updates from our side that may be in line with the plans that you have in mind, and how basically to help to get better understanding about your ecosystem, and how to start initiating a data collection process at ecosystem level. So I will share with you more information.
Yes, I would be very happy actually to be mentored, as you offered the two mentorship sessions. So I'll play in it fair. It's for the whole ecosystem. So I'll put my peers in the ecosystem to be prior to me. But I'm very interested with that, because, as you know, Oscar, we're managing a lot of things on the legal framework, and so through the legal framework, actually, we have amazing database of the startups, what they're doing, their employees, on what they're working, etc. Even at their evolution year after year, and through the ecosystem pillar as well, we'll be launching a new program with financial support. So we'll have a better, like a more concise picture on the ecosystem actors, and actually we see clearly our current steps, but what to do next, and to be at the level of efficiency and to be really performing. This is my big challenge, actually. This is what I need to see more clearly.
All right. So I was checking also that could you also share the or give me rights to share the screen, because I cannot make it now. Just before starting.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. So I'm making just a test. All right. Can you see the screen?
Yes, I'm seeing. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. It's noon.
Yeah, and YouTube seems to be working also.
Okay, perfect. So let's start. So today we have a new session as the last Thursdays, actually. So we're here for like a routine on Monday and Thursday for the ins and out of ecosystem building. And we're happy to have our Startup Commons friends. So hi Oscar and hi Matthias. We're very happy to have you on board again. We really enjoyed the last sessions that were more about the ecosystem building, and to have the bigger picture on what it takes actually to build an ecosystem, and what are the highlights or the key success factors that we need all together to build in order to have a proficient, efficient ecosystem for all the actors, with the emphasis or putting the shed, to shed the lights on the startups who are our main customers for all of us, and our main objective is to make them grow. And today actually will be more specific on the role of the SSOs, so the Startup Support Organization. And actually, I think this is what is expected for more of you, the attendees, that they'd like to launch new programs to support the startups, or maybe to enhance, to rethink their business model, their curriculums, the way they're doing things. And so thank you everyone for being here, especially our guests. So Oscar and Matthias, thank you a lot. And thank you also for the attendees. So the floor is yours. Please get started. You're on mute, Oscar, and Matthias as well.
I think it's working now. Thanks so much, Sam, for the presentation. It's our pleasure being here again. And yeah, so hopefully we will have a really good session to share with all the attendees some of our own learnings and findings working with many ecosystems around the world, and also specifically with incubators or accelerators. So let me, first of all, let me share the screen. All right. Great. So let's get started. So my name is Oscar Ramirez. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Startup Commons, a company based in Helsinki. And together with me, we also have Matthias from Helsinki too. And he will be also supporting the session today, and also taking care of the chat and also the Q&A part. And for those that don't know us yet, just let me give you a brief introduction about the Startup Commons. And Startup Commons mission is organizing world's innovation and entrepreneurship data for ecosystem development to enable more successful startups globally, and with a long-term vision of digitally scaling innovation and entrepreneurship globally. So in a nutshell, our main target is to accelerate the startup ecosystem development globally by identifying and removing all barriers in the way of entrepreneurs, innovators, and job creators. And basically, we do this by providing an ecosystem framework to bring more understanding around how an ecosystem can produce more and faster innovative businesses. We also provide an ecosystem strategy and roadmap plan for outcomes oriented, and also a data infrastructure that basically allows cities and ecosystems in general to understand how they perform locally and against this framework relative to other ecosystems globally, and to also manage data as a key resource for ecosystem orchestration to bring more inclusiveness, and in general to maximize the use of how the different ecosystem actors can effectively analyze, build services, and innovate with reliable data. So today the session is around tips for supporting organizations like incubators and accelerators to empower their startups. And basically what we are sharing here today is based on my own journey, or our own journey, both receiving support or providing services, and also based on our current position as a global and neutral actor, working with many ecosystems all around the world, and having all kinds of conversations, workshops, and consulting sessions, working with different support organizations and directly also having like really good dialogues with the startups and entrepreneurs. So this is just my own view, and I really, because there are a lot of materials out there, a lot of resources, documents, all type of channels, YouTube, specialized media, newsletter, talking about these topics. So I really encourage you to consume those and also to complement with this session, and also highly encourage you to search for some startup accelerator and incubator horror stories, because also it's a good source for learning. So we have divided basically the session into blocks or into parts. So basically in one part we will talk about how your strategy as an incubator or an accelerator may impact your entrepreneurs and startups. So basically sharing with you some fundamental decisions to be taken into account from the very beginning if you are truly, I would say, committed and serious to help startups in their journey building innovative businesses. And then the second part, we will have more content around operational tips. So in day-to-day work, directly working with the entrepreneurs and startups. So it's the time when basically you have to roll up your sleeves and do the dirty work to help startup progress in their own journey. So I just really wanted to bring this kind of balance of things between those two dimensions, the strategy and operations. Okay, so then let's start with the first block, and we will talk about specific topics to be considered before and while you are running your incubator or your accelerator program. So first of all, make sure that there's a demand for your incubator or acceleration program. It may sound silly, but personally, I have seen in many ecosystems that some activities are, I would say, too far beyond the existing maturity level of the ecosystem. Like, for example, in some ecosystems with basically maybe similar maturity level of Tunisia in a very early stage, basically I have seen how corporates accelerators were implemented when a level of awareness of the startup world for SMEs and corporates in general in that country was too low. So it doesn't make any sense to build something that it is not understood or that there's a clear demand for that. So therefore, I would say that the best way to empower startups is to really first understand what your ecosystem needs, which is basically very different from what entrepreneurs think they need, and also very different from what they actually need. And actually, and this is something that we have been validating all the time, when you ask entrepreneurs or startups about which is your main need, they usually respond with, we need money, and they forget many other things that are very important to basically to build the company. So as a tip, I really encourage you to look at the existing or coming plans to develop your ecosystem, trying to look at the objectives of your ecosystem, the missions, the visions, try to review reports or any other materials that can give you a sense about your ecosystem level. Then another way to look at that is to also to get closer to activities happening at grassroots level. So meaning like it's also important to look at startup weekend events or hackathons or meetups and similar events, just to get a sense about how often are those happening, and that will give you like an idea of also the volume of entrepreneurs, volume of people within the ecosystem. And also it's really important to attend events, and if you usually say, or if you usually see the same faces there, so then there is something wrong. That basically means that there's not enough volume of entrepreneurs, and then you have to wonder if an acceleration program or an incubation program makes sense at that point. So in a nutshell, do your work. So basically research and validate that there is a truly need to deploy a service X or Y or Z. Basically identify the maturity level of your ecosystem, and also the phase where it is, and what are the gaps that you see there, what's the value you are adding to the ecosystem, or how these align with the ecosystem vision, and how you are going to contribute to that. And also just be honest with you, and also ask yourself if you are prepared to run an incubator or accelerator. So do you have experience for that? Do you have a team that is also well equipped with knowledge and experience to basically to run this type of programs? Is there a clear motivation around that? So basically, to manage an accelerator, it is essential to, I would say, to choose people with a track record in the startup ecosystem. And I would say that this is a crucial factor, because the startup culture has a dynamic that not everyone understands. So it's really important that that experience is in place. And also you have to take into account some of the twin responsibilities in, like, for example, mentor relationship management, or scheduling workshops, or mentoring sessions and presentations, or logistics around mentors, feedback from the startups and mentors about the quality of the workshops. So really, it requires like a really good understanding and have like a really balanced teams around you in order to deliver a good service for your startups and entrepreneurs. I also personally, when I created my first company here in Spain, I applied to one acceleration program, and it was like really a mess because, well, first of all, the staff operating the incubation program were mainly administrative people, so they never created a company. They were quite experts in registering companies and administrating offices for you, but they were not able basically to give you like a path to basically, or guide you around all the things that you need to start also validating your idea into the market and things like that. So basically, they requested me to build a business plan in the very beginning, and it may work for a specific type of businesses, but from my point of view, in the context of innovation, a business plan tool is mainly used according to startup development phases after validation phase, mainly for scaling or growth purposes. So it's important to have a team with the right experience. And this also connects with another key component of your supporting organization, which is the community. So another important aspect is that the team should preferably be well connected and have good networking among entrepreneurs, among investors, corporates, the government, etc. Because this broad base of contacts will become the group of mentors and supporters that the incubator or accelerator depends on. So therefore, it's important to be involved and be proactive in your community by attending conference, events, meetups, and really start identifying those type of profiles that are needed for your program. And also, before diving deeper for more specific details on startup advisory or mentoring work, I would say it is highly important to make sure to understand the basic terminology and concepts around startups, and even regardless of perhaps having extensive knowledge, experience, or understanding of the subject matter, it is recommended to study this basic information and background content as well. So I would say you may also have different views and experience about some of these topics that are part of your service, and that can also be quite common as these terms and concepts are used and understood in so many ways, especially depending on the history or maturity, culture, and language backgrounds. So it's really important to basically to start having consistency around terminology. I can also mention one case here. When working with one ecosystem last year, basically I was attending a session and they were talking about building an MVP, and surprisingly they say that building an MVP would take around 3 to 6 months, and this is not the kind of, or if you basically listen what MVP or building MVP means in more mature ecosystem, it doesn't take so much time basically to build something like that. It has to be even faster, like weeks, to develop something that you can show to the market. So when working in this startup world and international context, it's also important to bring some standardization around terminology as well. And really, that's why we created the Growth Academy curriculum at the Startup Commons. It is, I would say, built from a very globally neutral perspective as a common language and structure, how various existing leading global knowledge methodologies, etc., link to each other in a logical manner, filling gaps between these existing knowledge and basically to provide sound reasoning for all topics covered within the curriculum. And also the target is to, I would say, to minimize reinventing the wheel by basically leveraging all the key knowledge captured by multiple serial entrepreneurs, mentors, and advisors over the years, as well as best methodologies developed to various parts of building a successful, innovative business and an effective organization from nothing to success. And where I would say the key focus is putting all these pieces in the right order, divide them into clear modules based on phases of businesses and organizations development, and also provide various levels of details on each of these development paths, and basically look at that from many perspectives, from new entrepreneurs just starting, from team member looking to join a venture, from a policy maker perspective, from advisor or perspective, etc. So therefore, it is truly an index of the overall journey and an executive summary view of all the key topics and contents around the startup journey. So no need to duplicate methods that have already previously been created or optimized by others in a real environment. So whatever your problem is, somebody else has faced it before. The challenge basically is finding the folks who have encountered it before and are willing to help you overcome. And that's why I would say the importance of building a great community and being able to collect best practices coming from the different parts of the world for different needs, and really take advantage of proven cases to achieve improvement and progress without re-engineering, and also mitigate risk with the disciplines of best practices, and eventually I would say that it creates a much happier and more satisfied startups as part of your services. So then another another key component in my view is to implement an open model to provide, I would say, knowledge permanently available to the different actors involved in your community in such a way that anyone can revisit any of the topics learned as many times as needed in the future, while I would say also bringing common language and understanding around innovation and entrepreneurship in general, or around your specific program, and therefore being able to discuss these topics based on having consumed same validated knowledge and content. And as long as you are operating along the years to update that generated knowledge and content by aggregating new and validated content systematically and make it shareable in your community, and eventually creating a standardized and ongoing, say, program knowledge base to be used permanently and without constraints, in a manner equally available to all parties, and really becoming, I would say, a complementary element to the existing knowledge in local context, and also in somehow allowing and forcing others to develop deeper and more advanced content on top of that, I would say, open knowledge base that you are creating, and therefore raising the level of competitiveness of the ecosystem as a whole, while also empowering the entrepreneurs and startups. So in general, I would say this approach makes content and knowledge discoverable, make resources adaptable and remixable with anything coming from different ecosystem actors, both locally and globally. It is also built for fully accessibility and inclusion. It really promotes the reuse and enhancement of existing materials and educate those that have to design new grants, funding instruments, new supporting programs, and also it brings long-term thinking towards ecosystems sustainability, as it also ensures resources remain publicly accessible, usable, and relevant into the future. And also we can't forget that if you are getting public funding, I would say that at the end of the day, it's important to ensure that publicly funded resources are available to the public, to everyone, regardless of the location, the gender, the race, etc. So I think that's really a key point to take into account when also looking at how to get more startups with the right skills or attitude that are going to apply to your programs. Then, of course, we also have to take into account the technology and how technology may help to bring more effectiveness and provide more value to startups and lower operational costs for you. So as part of your incubator accelerator programs, you will have to basically take into account all type of digital solutions like calendars, like event management tools, or business model canvas, business plan tools, other digital tools like, for example, X6S or GAST or HubSpot. Basically, these three ones, they allow you to involve external judges and have all the information available in one place for your team and really help you to build good cases. So in general, it's important to explore how existing digital applications can make your life easier as part of running this accelerator or incubation program. And also, I would say that digital becomes very relevant when, for example, it's important to document and transfer good practices, especially when you are collaborating with other ecosystems, and key information but must be collected and standardized to bring consistency. So it's quite hard to do that work manually. So you need to get some detailed tools in place to basically to bring more effectiveness to your operations, and at the same time to provide better quality services for your startups. And finally, before finalizing this first part, I think it's also very important to have like a wide understanding of how other ecosystem actors or organizations and services are connected once your startups graduate from your program, and really guide them towards what's next, which is the next steps. But not only pointing out to whom they should connect, but also in a way that the different organizations can exchange information and data about the startups that they are supporting or they are going to support. And also startups could take control, I would say, of their own data records, interacting with past services, and basically take that activity data that has been collected with them to basically to be shareable with other ecosystem actors, and really have like a better perspective about, okay, so this startup needs this type of things, and we need to do our best to support them, to take them to the next level. So that is all from the strategy part. Maybe it's time to Salma to make like a first round of questions coming from the audience. Does it make sense?
Yeah, totally. So I have received 2 questions so far, so I'm gonna share it with you. So thank you, Nizar, for this question. It's too long. I'm trying to summarize it. So actually in Tunisia, the programs are built and launched according to the funding or the funders' needs and vision. So how to prevent going on the wrong direction while in the same time keeping a realistic approach?
I'm not sure if I understood correctly.
Because I think it's it goes to the part that they need to do their homework and to understand the real needs of the ecosystem to have like a real value proposition. But he's pointing a real thing actually, that the accelerators and incubators in Tunisia are they're in the majority have a business model based on the fundings, so the donors. And so usually it comes with a list of do's and don'ts, or a list of preferences, and they have actually to be aligned to that. So it's a different way of doing. And he's asking, if I'm understanding well, how to get the right balance between keeping it realistic, so to have the funds and to start and do the job, and the same time trying to make it the more relevant to the ecosystem and to the startups.
Yeah, that's a good point, and that's why it's really important when we communicate that ecosystem development is a truly collaborative work. It's because of this type of things. So it's important that whoever designed a new grant or a new funding scheme or whatever, basically any program to support startups, it's important to also take into account that they have to have like a really understanding about the startup journey and what are the needs or what are the main things that startups needs in every phase and design programs and services and programs in general according to that. And then from the accelerator perspective or incubator perspective, I think that it is always a challenge when for example, there is a new call and you are expecting to have like many startups applying to your program. But then specifically in early stage ecosystem, you find out very soon that most of them are not basically aligned with the criteria that are part of your acceleration program, and therefore are not aligned with the funding that you as an accelerator are going to get to support startups and innovation. So then that's why it's important to, before implementing anything, to understand what's happening at ecosystem level. So to really see and be honest with you and see what's happening there, and basically design and implement specific services that are realistic, that take into account the reality, and don't go too far, because otherwise you are not going to make the impact that you are looking at. And then at the end of the day, that will produce like a bad case, and then reduce the trust of the different ecosystem actors in your service.
Thank you so much, Oscar. Thank you. You summarized pretty well, so thank you. Yes, we keep it realistic, because accelerators and incubators need that funds, but obviously, and actually we're doing more collaborative work, and I'm seeing the donors like the EU funds or the GIZ, actually they're having a lot of discussion prior to launch a funding program. So it's important to express or to make a voice for the ecosystem and to based on data, and actually to work on the homework like more in a global view. And I think it's one of the role of Smart Capital, and we engage ourselves to do that job also, to follow up all the needs and the gaps, what needs to be done in the future for in short or long term.
Yeah.
The second question is, so thank you, Semi, because I'm trying to have a reminder here. So Oscar is very generous, and he's offering a mentorship for 2 startups or 2 startup support organization. So please, in the chat, you can put your hashtag mentorship, and we can contact you, or you send us an email, so we can you can have that mentorship with Oscar and Startup Commons. And so, because the question here is more like a mentorship, but if we can like summarize and give really 2-3 tips, it can be helpful. So the question is, I'm working on a pre-incubator, and I'd like, so it helps with ideation and product development. What services should I be focused on? And if you have any other advices to make it successful?
I think that part we will cover in the second part. So maybe that person should wait for the next block that we are covering now.
Okay, perfect. So let's go to the second part in that case.
Perfect.
Thank you.
So no more questions so far?
No more questions so far.
All right, good. Good. So now, as I mentioned, so let's go to the operational level of running an incubator or accelerator, just to give a sense about the things that are needed on daily basis when working and dealing with startups that are part of your program. And in order to effectively support them, it's really important to get like a good understanding where the startups are in this complexity, because otherwise it is going to be quite hard to really effectively support them along the way. And that's why we again use these startup development phases. So we will use the startup development phases to really help understand the startup journey identify the key stages and to help develop a startup from idea to business and from founding team to organizations in balanced and understandable manner, while also brings a simple, holistic, and global common terminology to talk and describe the various stages of the startup journey, and to help see the overall picture and various parts of it. So in general, by introducing this simplified framework, both the startup entrepreneurs and those supporting startups, incubators or accelerators or whatever, can get to the point and communicate much faster around the current development stages of a specific startup or the stage they are trying to get to. And basically, by adopting this framework, you will be able to help the startups to achieve their objectives by basically, so you will provide or you will guide focus along the way. You will be able basically to measure progress. You will help the startups to build things in the correct order. You also help them manage amount of balls in the air at a time, and also to help them avoid invest time and resources by doing easier or more fun things first. So it's important the order, and also avoiding growth without ability to grow that eventually leads to failure. And so that's important to basically to have this framework in place for that. And I would say that from incubators and accelerators perspective, the majority of activities should focus. So in one hand, for incubators specifically, in building a committed and balanced co-founding team with shared vision and attitude. So being able to basically to develop a minimum viable product without dependency of uncommitted external resources, or already have initial product or service in place, and also to have shareholder agreement signed between co-founders, including milestones and committed time and money use for minimum, for example, 3 years with vesting terms. And then on the other hand, from an acceleration perspective, the focus would be on activities to help iterating, validating assumptions until have validated solution to demonstrate initial user growth and or revenue. And also activities around identifying KPIs, so key performance indicators, and to also to start attracting additional investment-based resources for equity, revenue share, or future revenue. So again, the focus should be on validation, and all the activities should be focused on basically on building, measuring, and iterating. So these are the keywords here in this phase. And if we have a look at the higher level, we see that the phases we are covering here are, I would say, pretty much in the middle, meaning that a good balance of education activities and hand-on activities are needed, and definitely that gives you a fresh view about the type of services that the startups need when they enter into an incubator or acceleration program. And at the same time, it also, I would say, helps a lot to see from where to get resources to support startups in those phases. So the balance between public services or publicly funded support providers tend to focus in earlier phases, while private and for-profit type of service providers are focusing on later phases of the journey, where the business is starting to have, I would say, more clarity, shape, and ability to pay more for those services. So therefore, startups should enter into the validation phase with IPRs and founding entrepreneurial team members commit to contribute to build value and confirm this value to be captured to a company with founders shareholder agreement. And that basically means that a startup had to receive advising around things like, for example, team building strategies, to basically to provide knowledge around volume thinking logic, so how to get more customers, how to get more users, how to basically to get more, and also advising around getting to the right mindset. So basically, when building a team, it's also to go beyond the personal egos, the importance of team and the commitment, also to get some learnings around traditional myths around the building startups, and also to be aware of that building a company is a long-term thinking. So it doesn't happen overnight, and it requires like a really big effort and a lot of hard work to basically to reach the vision that you want to reach, and also advising activities around validating this with a shareholder agreement. So legal services in place to basically to capture all those commitments into document as a proof that the team is on board and they will work together for long term. And on the other hand, startups leave the validation phase when they are ready for growth, after the core team's ability and commitment to build and execute the vision is validated, and also product has clear customer and market validation. And that basically means that, again, startups had to receive advising and supporting activities and services around, for example, pitch training to get vision and solution clear in order to effectively communicate what's your company about, what's your value proposition about, what's your product benefits, etc. It's also important to I would say, keep asking about the numbers to the startups. So how many conversations you are having with customers, how many deals you got, the type of conversations that are happening internally towards build team creation, etc. So also to provide services or support around focus on validation number versus the vanity numbers or actions, like, for example, if for example we are trying to, as part of your company, trying to create like a community of real users, it doesn't make any sense to have like 500,000 users in your company if those users are not providing any value to your company. So this type of things it's important to have in place. To also, it's important get understanding of validation strategies in place, and also ask about the latest and best learnings based on those validations and things like that. So basically providing services and activities towards validating whatever is needed to validate in these two dimensions that we take into account in the startup development phases, so the product development and the team building side. I mentioned earlier that terminology matters, so let's go a bit deeper for the definition of an incubation program in order to basically to be able to define not only the outcome at the end of the program, but also the activities towards supporting the startups. So a definition would be like incubation is a unique and highly flexible combination of business development processes, infrastructure, and people designed to nurture and grow new and potential startups by supporting them through early stages of development and change. And basically, the services offered by the incubator program are usually developed or orchestrated by the incubator management and offer both in the business incubator and through its network of contacts. And actually, we can see that there is more and more overlaps with incubator models with co-working spaces, for example. And some example of resources provided to help guide entrepreneurs in that programs. So we can find co-working spaces for sure, private workshops or industry-specific roundtables or a mentor matching program, or for example, founder dinners with visiting entrepreneurs to your local ecosystem, or exclusive office hours with guest experts, connections with advisors, and in general technical resources. And typically, the incubation program targets teams that basically have already defined mission and vision with initial strategy and some key milestones defined for at least next 3 years on how to get there. And then also they usually have 2 or 3 entrepreneurial co-founders with complementary skills and balanced ownership plan, and maybe have potential extended team members for additional roles or ownership. And basically the outcome is that a business incubator's main goal is to produce a committed and balanced co-founding team with shared vision and attitude, being able to develop the product or service or the minimum viable product without dependency of uncommitted external resources, or already have initial product or service in place. And there should be shareholder agreements signed between the co-founders, and it includes milestones and also the committed time and money used for a minimum 3 years with vesting terms. I would say that the reality says that incubators fail in supporting co-founding team members matching, so meaning that they are not able to, or there is big gap around seeking for co-founders, and also there is a big gap around helping to validate ideas properly and make sure ideas are big or with the potential enough to be developed. So I would say that building a team is not a small task. But getting it down is also a true sign of, I would say, entrepreneurial skills and appeal of the adventure. I would say that generally there are 2 types of ways a co-founder typically come together. So the startup, in one hand, the startup is built by the team from the beginning, and having met and brainstormed together at some event or trip or even in a bar, where those who were part of the discovery of the idea continue as initial big team. And another way to basically to come together is basically coming up with an idea independently and then talking to others, while at the same time looking for potential co-founders to join the venture. So the first case is a random situation, but it happens quite often, I would say, and even more so with events, especially catering for such outcomes, like, for example, startup weekends, events, or hackathons. And in the other model, most entrepreneurs start to look among their own network for suitable contacts. I would say that very few, at least from first-time entrepreneurs, try to go for the best potential partners from a business perspective, meaning they start from friends or friends of friends and don't really think of business contacts. And here is where basically specific programs and services can help a lot. And basically there is one supporting one service happening in Helsinki that it is called In Search of Co-Founders, and it is basically specifically for that need to basically to match co-founders around one business idea. It usually happens once per month. I'm not sure how that service or event evolve. I guess that now they are increasing the frequency of that type of events as long as the maturity level of the ecosystem improves. But I would say that is one of the best practices coming off from Helsinki, and really gives like a good value for those first-time entrepreneurs looking at co-founders. And then at this, I would say that on the business, when it comes to the business ideas, and specifically when searching for business ideas, there are essentially three ways to think that can be carried out individually or be combined all together. So, for example, one way is to find a problem to find a solution. So basically asking from customers or doing search online. Another way to find ideas is basically applying disruption thinking, meaning that, for example, trying to reply questions like, how would industry X look like if it would be built with tools of today, or something like that? Or how about applying, for example, Uber for another industry? So trying to be really disruptive. And another way to come up with ideas is basically identifying future big opportunities, and basically trying to choose 2-3 megatrends development patterns, mainly looking at technology, society, for example, or business in general, trying to imagine how things would be different in 5-10 years because of these megatrends, and then also develop business ideas to scenarios that take advantage of those changes. And I would say that looking for ideas is always a systematic approach, but in any case, and that is important to emphasize, the value of ideas is always zero. But all ideas are not equal, and some of them worth building or even testing. In general, it makes no sense to start initially just looking for ideas, as all of them are based on hopes. So hope to find a market, hope to that idea meets needs, or hope to find a strategy. And eventually, as we know, hope is not a strategy. So instead, I would say that you have to focus on the market needs and create ideas for growth from different perspectives. So basically looking at the market size, if the market is attractive enough, or also looking at the customer needs, or for example, look at the job that has to be done to make services or products more competitive, and so forth. And once you have created your ideas for growth, then you can apply them to different cases, like how that idea would impact on existing platforms or features or business models, or go-to-market strategies, how the idea would force to create new processes, new criteria, or how it would impact on costs or efforts and risk. And I would say that whatever the number of ideas you are able to generate, you need to filter and prioritize them to cut down. And basically, some criteria are, for example, personal criteria, why are you doing this, or business potential, or the type of team or resources or skills that are needed to develop that idea, or basically playing a little bit with business model canvas or trying other ideation methods or whatever. So the point is to basically to bring some criteria when filtering those ideas. And then for an acceleration program, an accelerator program usually has the following structure. So an application process that is open to all, but at the same time is really highly competitive. It provides provision of pre-seed investment, usually in exchange of for equity. They focus on small teams. They are not focusing at all on individual founders. And there's time-limited support. It's usually between 3 to 6 months, and comprising program events and intensive mentoring, and also basically really focus on test and measure and minimize speculations when building the company. And this type of program is targeting teams that are iterating, validating assumptions until have validated solution to demonstrate initial user growth and revenue. Also, it's important that the startups also identify key performance indicators, and also there is willingness to start attracting additional investment for equity, revenue share, or future revenue. And basically, the type of tools that are part of the acceleration program are pitch deck, so planning tools like the business model canvas or lean canvas, the value proposition canvas or the business plan. Then, of course, MVP, all type of MVPs that can be a website, a brochure, a static prototype, whatever. Validation canvas, funnel around how to see the conversion rates of the user and customers, A/B testing, KPIs, etc. And the kind of outcomes at the end of that acceleration program is that startups have strong focus on growth, showing KPIs-based measurable growth in user, customer revenue growth, and on market traction in a big or fast-growing target market, can and want to grow fast, and basically will or have attracted significant funding or would be able to do so if they want, and also basically putting processes in place for hiring and improving quality, etc. But really providing this type of approach about start small, validate and scale. And again, the reality says that accelerators fail in team validation. There is a signed shareholder agreement in place with the right things within it, and basically helping to fix if there's no such shareholder agreement document. Basically, providing free services to help resolve it, like, for example, shareholder workshops, templates, and mentoring to resolve all type of dimensions around that. And finally, to also to connect with local lawyer support that also is very familiar with the startup world to basically to help fix that important document. And really, it is important to organize activities to facilitate co-founding talks so they can basically agree on the time that they are contributing to the startup, how each of the members of the startup are contributing from a financial perspective, and many things that are needed to take into account, like intellectual property rights, competition clauses, confidentiality, how to structure the ownership of the company, the different roles as part of the company, etc. So all these type of conversations are really important in order to basically to validate that the team is really committed to basically to take the company to the next level. So some I would say some key points when supporting startups, for example, is that entrepreneurs deserve transparency. You know that they are putting all their efforts there, basically all the pain to build a company, their passions, their motivations, and the most important resource that they have is the time. So we have to be honest with them. We cannot deceive them. We have to basically to provide what we are communicating as part of our incubation program or acceleration program, because well, if you make some research out there, you can see some horror stories around acceleration and incubation programs, providing all type of good resources and I would say gifts, and at the end of the day, they didn't provide this type of hands-on resources to help startups. So it's important to be honest with them and don't create false expectations. And also understanding that every startup is unique. So that's really important, especially specifically when we are advising startups, meaning that maybe you have basically provide advisor works with similar startups operating in the same industry, but it's important to understand where each of those startups comes from, which are the main problems, the main challenges that they are facing, trying to get like a deeper understanding, and based on that understanding, and try to provide your feedback, your expertise there to fix those obstacles. Then, of course, I would say that there is no magic in creating startups and basically being busy or doing a lot of things does not mean progress. Help bring focus on making systematic progress. So basically, when creating a company, we all know that we have to do many things at the end of the day, but also it's important to do it in the right order. And again, highlight importance of to build things in the correct order to basically to help avoid design structures based problems in future. So it's important to put the fundamentals in the beginning to basically to bring solid base, and then start building on top of that. Founders usually postpone or try avoid hard stuff by doing easier or more fun things first, yet hard things are what need to be solved as early as possible. Funding is not among first things in a startup. So basically, when we are operating or we are running our own startups, so basically we want to do things that are easier for us or are more aligned with our expertise. I can also bring here that, for example, personally, I don't like at all doing the accounting stuff. It's very boring, but at the end of the day, you know that it's really important, and for the health of your company, and that has a big impact on your company. So you have to do it, and you have to do it sometimes in first place if you compare with other things that you would like to do most. So it's important to have like clear priorities around the things that are needed for your startup. Or sometimes we see many founders looking for investors when basically they don't have like a good they don't have good base of initial customers buying their services or their products. And if you think about the huge amount of time that is needed to prepare the communications and the meetings with investors, and you can think about how that time should be used to attract more customers and to get more revenues, then you realize that that's why important to basically to put the right things in order. Then again, there's no general startup advice. So basically, advice should be given based on knowing and understanding a startup's development stages and situation and issues in detail. Then dig deep to understand true needs and related needs behind needs or behind use of money, questions or issues. So that is more relevant, for example, when, for example, there is a big event you want to attend, but you have to pay for that, and you think that attending that event is funny, but at the same time you are struggling with the financial stuff, and you need to prioritize that money for other things that are more relevant. So it's important to basically to understand which are their priorities. Always separate expertise-based advice from opinions or speculation, and basically encourage strongly to get additional perspectives from others as well. And the bigger, more crucial or complex the issue, the more perspectives should be sought. So basically it means that it's important to have like a wide perspective and collect feedback and views from different angles, from your customers, from your partners, from your internal team, from the acceleration or the incubation program sales, from the mentors, and basically analyze that information. And at the end of the day, you have to have your own vision and make your own decision. It's important, again, committed co-founder team is first and foremost target, and one of the hardest things to get done is this type of building block is not in place in the very beginning. Then it's quite hard to basically to build more things on top of that. And again, if there's no founders shareholders agreement, there is no real startup yet, as shareholder agreement is the confirmation of ownership, commitment, roles, responsibilities, intellectual property rights, etc., making it impossible to make consistent plan schedule actions. And it's, I would say, it's the first due diligence question of professional investors as well. So it's the first thing that any investor will ask you. So do you have a shareholder agreement in your company? If not, so then good luck. And always remind that, again, any advice is always just advice and not to be followed blindly, and all decisions are always co-founders. So, and there should be also written agreement about your role as advisor, along with expectation from both sides, specifically when beyond one-off casual advisory. So it's quite usual to basically to receive casual advisory, and then you can find situation where an advisor or you want to engage with that advisor for longer term. So it's also important to clear out that and define the conditions for both sides. And really, when working with the startups and supporting them, to really make a lot of emphasis around focus on progress and not perfection. And that is specifically important when building a minimum viable product. So oftentimes the MVP has plenty of things, a lot of functionalities and features, because we think that it is going to be more complete, but this is not the point with the MVP. So if one customer asks you for a burger, just build a burger, not build a monster of burgers. So give them what they need, or at least build something really fast that can give you, the customers will give you more feedback about how to improve it and how to make it better. And basically, a good tip here is that it's always easier to iterate than create. So make the first version super fast and crappy for feedback, and then build more things on top of that. And really having an approach like this. So basically, that can give like a good idea about how an MVP should be built. So different ways to bring focus on progress for startups. So evaluate and benchmark against startup development phases and definitions in each stage, and focus to prioritize actions that help get to next stage. So basically use the startup development phases as a guide where you can see which are the different milestones that are needed for each stage, and basically focus on get those down, basically to help startups move to the next phase. Always ask about the validation and progress, creating numbers like, for example, number of customers talk, the funnel conversions, number of feedback, number of learning, etc. So those tough questions that are important when you are building a company, and that at the end of the day, it brings the reality about your progress in your company. Also, always ask about the most recent learnings, and basically also ask about the team and team communications level, and recent key topics and any changes or potential issues ahead regards team commitments or ability to make progress. So it's important to have an eye on the team building always. It's important to check how each of the team members of the co-founding team feels as part of this journey, what is needed, what you are missing, how to expand your team, etc. And if there is any change on that, try to basically to update the situation through the shareholder agreement. And here are some tips, basically adding value around adding value for startups. So again, guide them towards useful resources like relevant materials or events or tools that are needed as part of the journey. That is always another key aspect that is always very relevant is making introductions and connections from your personal and organization networks for potential team members, for services, for new customers, for advisors, for funding sources, investor, experts, potential partners, etc. Also help bring outsiders' perspective and suggestions to help refine and simplify communications materials, like, for example, website, pitch deck, website, product descriptions, value propositions. I really encourage you to basically to have people that or family members even that they don't know anything about your startup, so they have like a fresh vision of your services, and basically put them in front of your materials and basically ask them if they understand your business, and that is really healthy exercise to do. Also help understand, maintain a strategy level versus operative level balance and perspective. Help understand and remain about MVP thinking and approach at all levels. So, for example, if we usually apply MVP thinking for product development, but it can be applied to any other dimension as part of your company. So one thing that I did in the past was basically to take part in startup weekend events, basically to identify talent and to basically try to work together with them, because the only way to basically to assess if someone is fitting your needs or your company is basically working together. An interview is okay, it gives one angle, but you need a broader perspective. So basically, it's good to have this type of real experience working with people under pressure, if possible, so you can also get a sense about who is joining your startup. So in general, trying to apply this MVP thinking to validate assumptions, hypotheses at all levels. And last but not least, so also helping startups to convert negative things into positive things, like, for example, how to convert a problem into a solution or into an opportunity, or how to convert like lack of funding in your company, convert that into, okay, you are able to come up with a way to smartly manage financial with lack of resources and things like that. So try to be always be more positive. And finally, basically, it's important to, I would say, select and track metrics. So choosing the metrics should focus on basically on three simple pillars. So why are you providing these services? What are you providing and how you are providing those services? And basically choosing and capturing those metrics is a, I would say, great way to ensure that all the stakeholders that are part of your incubator or accelerator are aligned from the start, and that the brand of the incubator or the accelerator is built with consistency across all messages, and that everyone in the team, I would say, work towards the same end goal. So basically, it's important to have this kind of internal discipline towards basically collecting those metrics and making those reports about the startups that you are supporting with. So yeah, so we reached the end of the session. So now more time for Q&A, and hopefully I guess that you were able to learn something about this session today.
Thank you so much, Oscar. Yes, it was really good to have all the tips together, because actually we see some of them in different materials. So it is good to actually to put all of it in one presentation. So I think it's really helpful for the SSO, actually the operating ones, but surely very helpful for the new SSOs launching their services. So actually we have some questions. I'm trying to, okay, I'm opening another screen because they are on my messenger. Okay, so how do you qualify the open innovation? Is it incubation, acceleration, or a hybrid form of both of them?
Well, open innovation, I would say, doesn't apply to any specific phase. It's more like a model where basically it's open for everyone to participate and contribute towards building something innovative. So it can be really applied to any phase of the startup journey, whether if you are in the incubation phase or acceleration phase or later.
Thank you so much. So actually, we can put it as a new range of supporting the startups, right or no?
Sorry?
We can put it as a new range or new category of startup support programs, beside of the acceleration and incubation or not.
Well, it's more like how you understand how innovation is being facilitated or produced. So basically, if we go back like many years ago, all the innovation was produced secretly inside the big companies and the R&D centers. Mm-hmm. So basically, there was no way to get access to them, and now that model has fully changed. It's more open, and that's why we apply that open model. So basically means that many other actors can contribute and participate regardless of the stage. So again, it's more like open innovation is like how the innovation is being produced.
Okay, thank you. So this one, he needs a better idea on the best KPIs to assess an acceleration program.
Well, here we have mentioned some of them. So I would say that it's important to define like which are the high-level metrics. Like, for example, it's always important to look at the number of customers that you have at the end of the acceleration programs. It's always important to have the people or co-founders that are part of the acceleration program as part of your startup, please. It's also important to look at how many validations or pivots you made along the way, and then trying to attach those high-level KPIs with things that are happening at operative level.
Thank you. Hope that answered. Actually, yes, the question is, do we start so presenting the business model canvas in acceleration, because it's usually taught in much earlier phases in Tunisia. The business model canvas is usually taught in the incubation programs, like very early stage bootcamp, etc.
Yeah, exactly. So when the idea is not clear yet, so when there are many uncertainty around your business idea, instead of using a business plan tool, it's more interesting to basically to use a business model canvas or lean startup canvas that gives you like a more clear idea about which are the different components that are part of your business model, and which are the main things you have to work with, and basically I would say that it's more a flexible tool that can adapt to all the dynamics around your startup.
So the very first stages, the very early stage.
Yeah, exactly. And specifically when you have to, in the very beginning, when you have an idea, but you will see different approaches to be applied to that specific idea, then like having different canvases is really important, so that you can also compare with them. It's a fast way to basically to put all your thoughts that you have around your idea into one picture, and at the same time being quite shareable with others, so that others can contribute and give you feedback and make questions and things like that. And again, it is meant to be used as a common language and common tool, and everyone talking the same language around your business idea.
Perfect. Where is for in the presentation it was mentioned that one of the role of the incubator is to make sure that the ideas are big or have enough potential.
Yeah.
Does that mean, I'm trying just to translate a little bit, does that mean that the incubator role is actually to go into the ideas and maybe to take kind of to make the decision instead of the founders. So what is actually the limit, or when the role is finished actually of the
well, I would say that the supporting services should never make a decision on business ideas. So it's more about facilitating some criteria for entrepreneurs and startups to make their own decisions. So basically empowering them with the type of criteria that are needed to look at when, for example, they have a business idea, or they have few ideas and they are not sure about, okay, let's go with this or let's go with that. So basically, from the support organization perspective, it's more about, okay, so here are some tools that you can use to basically to assess those ideas. And then it's up to you to decide. Of course, we will provide our own feedback, because maybe you have internal team there, like mentors that can also contribute to that. But at the end of the day, as we mentioned on the presentation, it's your own decision.
Great. And if it's really bad, you can kick it out of the program.
Of course, I mean, so you can always say that that idea is not going anywhere. Because, but I mean, in general, it's good to be like really objective in that sense. And of course, if you identified like a big risk, then of course you have to communicate it. But the target is to basically, or the goal is that entrepreneurs can make their own decision.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, that leads to another question. Actually, I think that it is consistent together. So what are actually the skills that a program manager in an incubator or an accelerator he has to develop in order to be serving the startups actually?
Well, at least I would say that the minimum requisite would be that at least they created a company in the past, as I said earlier on the presentation. So I have seen many cases where people with no experience at all around creating a company are operating an incubation program or an acceleration program, and that doesn't bring any value to anyone. So at least they should have like a good understanding about what creating a company means in reality, from different perspective, and then try to basically to create a team around you that have experience around, for example, building products or building teams. That should be like, I would say, the minimum core team for creating that. And then, of course, there are many other levels or dimensions, like, for example, having people very well connected with different organizations with the international perspective or whatever. But I would say that would be the minimum.
Yeah, but if in case, for example, someone is really interested and passionate by this job of program manager in an incubator, and he has not that experience, or he has not went.
He has to create a company.
He has to create a company just to
no.
the shoes of the founders. Yeah,
I was kidding.
They can have the training session with Startup Commons because you have great materials.
Yes, yes, of course.
To learn a lot through
we have materials, and of course there are many other actors out there that provide this type of training around the startup journey and looking at that from the support organization perspective, and also applying the MVP thinking to that process of how I'm able to get that knowledge for my own purposes to create a company, or to run an accelerator or an incubator program. There are many ways where you can be involved. So you can also become a volunteer in many events, in many acceleration programs. Startup weekend events, it's I would say is one of the best formats to get like a fresh experience in many ways. So there are many other options where basically that can help you to get that knowledge and basically start looking at, okay, now I got some fundamentals in place to basically to run an incubation or acceleration program.
Thank you. And the last question actually is about the founder shareholders agreement, because it seems very I'm reading the question. It seems very important. So actually, what should contains or what should be in that shareholders agreement, and what's the role of the incubator accelerators actually to have it written in the right way?
Yeah, so there are different components that are part of the shareholder agreement. So again, when you create that document, basically you are communicating that all the value that you are producing, that you are capturing, is basically you are transferring everything to that startup. So basically you have to take into account all things related to intellectual property rights. You also have to take into account confidentiality clauses, communication among partners to the agreement, governing laws, how to basically to specify or define the market value of your company, which are the different tasks and roles of the different co-founders that are joining the startup, how to structure properly the ownership. So how you commit with the type of commitments that you are basically bringing to the company. Also identify situations, for example, if you want to leave the company, what's happened, or if we want to add a new team member, what's happened, or if we want to add an investor, what should happen. So basically you have to take into account different perspectives, different dimensions, and put everything in a written document and agree on that. And actually, I would say that the shareholder agreement is a live document, so it can be changed from time to time. Every time that there is like a big change at the structural level of the company, so it should be reviewed and updated. And then, as an incubator or an accelerator, here it's really important to educate about that, to provide periodic workshop sessions about why it's important, the shareholder agreement, what do you need to put in place to basically to create like good agreements, how the accelerator should be included in that document, and also have like a really good connection with legal support services that help you to basically to create that document and have like a really good experience in the startup world to do that.
Great. So I think we came to the end of this session. So thank you so much, Oscar and Matthias. Thanks a lot for all the time you have offered to the Tunisian ecosystems, and for your advices and all the materials shared. It was really helpful and very insightful. And would love to see you more often in Tunisia with hopefully future programs together with the Smart Capital, and for the help of the ecosystem, of course. So thank you again. If you had a final word.
Yes, of course. Thanks for these great 3 sessions that we have had with Smart Capital. It was such a pleasure working with you and basically to share with the local actors there in Tunisia what we have been collecting through all these years. And yeah, so from our side, we will be available. So happy to receive questions and also those mentoring sessions with support organizations. So we are happy to schedule those. We will share for sure this presentation with you, Salma, so that can be also circulated in your network. And yeah, and of course. So just say happy Christmas, everyone, just in case we don't see again in this December. But happy Christmas for everyone. Take care, stay safe, and spend a lot of time with your loved one, because it's really important to be closer to the people you love, especially in this moment that we are living.
Thank you so much, Oscar. Matthias, we don't hear from you much.
Yes. Yeah, can you hear me now? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, Oscar just emptied the bank, so I think everything was there. But thanks for the smart capital. It was a great opportunity and great sessions. Everything ran really smoothly. All live streams worked in all platforms very well, and thanks for the audience for great questions. I had some questions in my sleep, but audience was like on point, and they covered all those questions on behalf of me. So maybe one thing I would like to highlight, which really impact from Oscar's presentation, was that the thing that entrepreneurs really deserve to be to transparency. That like pointed out for me, and that's really fundamental when you offer your services to startups, that really be transparent and don't make promises that you know in early on that you cannot provide, or make those promises like complete them, and in the long run that will also works towards you, as it builds the market trust, and it's really one of the key things. You don't spoil your own business, and you don't spoil a startup's business as well. So that's maybe everything. And like Oscar said, happy holiday times if you don't see this Christmas, and thanks for everything.
Thank you so much, Matthias. Very important to actually value as transparency. Thank you so much, and hopefully we see you again, and happy Christmas to you too, guys, and have great holidays. Enjoy your family time.
Same.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.